And on that note, I think, yeah, probably I'm just going to have to force a draw. So I'm going to go bishop c1, queen f2, try to put the knight on c4 here. But realistically, this will be a close position, and the game is going to end in a draw. I'll play knight c4 here, play h4 next move, and it'll be a draw. So I don't know if I had great chances to win this game objectively. It felt like I did, but on the other hand, maybe there really was nothing. So this first level 7 Stockfish, pretty solid, but I would say definitely not at the level of the Komodo engine or Mittens or some of the top engines that we've played so far on chess.com, at least in terms of level 7. Now, next we're going to play level 8, and I'm expecting to get thrashed at level 8, but you never know what's going to happen. So here I'm simply going to do a repetition of moves, just repeat back and forth. I assume that we'll draw this pretty soon. I'll actually pre-move rook g2 just to save time here to avoid getting flagged. I can even go knight d6, knight c4. Again, I'll just play rook g3. Probably we'll get a trade of pieces here, and I'll put the rook on d3. Here, rook d3, trade some pieces, and the game will most likely end in a draw. But we'll see. Maybe something will change. Very unlikely, but at the end of the day, you never know. So we'll go rook d3 here. Probably rook a1, queen f3. In fact, at this point, I can already sort of pre-move here, so I'll make a couple of pre-moves. Probably king g3, king e2, king d1, rook e1. Again, I don't expect Stockfish to trade the queens right away. At some point it will have to, but yeah, I'll just trade, make this very simple. Let's go king d1, king e2, king f3. And at some point it will play a5. I'm not sure quite when it will, but we'll just make a bunch of pre-moves here. Rook e2, rook e1. Now, as you guys know, on Lichess, you are unable to make multiple pre-moves. So for that reason, I can only make one pre-move instead of pre-moving the next 10 to 15 moves. So let's just play rook e2, rook e1. It's gonna go a5, move the bishop, game will end in a draw, and that's gonna be all she wrote. So let's go rook e2, rook e1, rook e2, rook e1. Again, a little bit boring, but that's life. That's just how it goes. Let's play rook e1 back, rook e2, rook e1. Not really trying to reinvent the wheel here, simply because if I do try to reinvent the wheel, it's going to cost us another minute or two off the clock, and there's really no reason for it. So we just go rook e2, rook e1, rook e2, rook e1. And at this point, the game is going to be a draw. Rook e2, e1, rook e2. Probably will play a5. I don't know if it's going to wait 50 moves before it plays a5 or if it's going to do it sooner. Nonetheless, it will sooner or later play a5 to dodge the 50 move draw rule, and then we'll play 50 more moves and the game will be a draw. So rook e2, rook e1, rook e2, rook e1, back and forth we go. Nothing really changing here in terms of the position. It's just a matter of when it chooses to push the pawn to a5. I go rook e2, rook e1. Now, of course, I'm up on time, because when you do play on Lichess, there's also instant premium where you lose 0.00 seconds on the clock. So the game ends in a draw. Rook d5, very cheeky by Lichess on the 50 move rule, because now if I take, this would be 50 first move since it captures, the game automatically ends in a draw. 50 moves without progress. So